Hello Dean, this is a video response on why I believe in God and why should I believe in the particular God that I do. You basically asked three questions in your video, which I will attempt to answer individually right now. So why do I believe in God, which is obviously a very broad question. There are basically, you can apply the same thing as to why I believe anything. You spoke about the atom and why they think, they started with the plum pudding model, and they moved on to different versions of what they think, the electron clouds, and they've come up with the one that they think is the most recent, and they have adapted and moulded their view based on what the evidence is, and whether it's rational or logical, and those two things can be applied to why I believe in God. It is the conclusion that I have logically and rationally come to, and I don't think personally, I can't justify logically not believing in God, but that's just my conclusion. And obviously I can't just say that without some kind of evidence, but I don't think this is particularly the video to do that. But you can get started. You can think about the Kalama sort of cosmological argument. You can think about the moral law. You can think about there are a huge variety of things, and literally there are so many I could list, but it'd be a debate, really, wouldn't it? It would go on. I'm going to one in October, in fact, and it's going on for an hour, so I don't think this short little video is the place to discuss them all, but I would love to in another video, and if you're interested. Your second question was why does my God have more credentials than other gods? And well, I'd like to first say that I don't think that I have absolutely I don't as I say, like, I can't be absolutely sure. I don't think either any atheist or any Christian or any Jew or any Hindu can be absolutely 100% certain. The fact is, we don't know whether God exists. Everyone is agnostic, you could really say. But what I'm saying is, I don't have anything wrong with any other religions, and I respect all of them, within reason. But I believe in the Christian God because there's one main argument, which is the Bible states that God created the universe outside of time, which is very important, because if God created outside of time, then that means that helps answer the question, what created God? Because if God isn't under constraints of time, as we understand time, it only goes in one direction for us, but if he is not under the constraints of time, then he may not be may not have needed to have been created. So that answers that kind of question. That's just one of the reasons I do believe in the Christian God. You can take answers like the fact that the apostles were willing to die, they were willing to sacrifice their lives for what they've seen and experienced when they were with Jesus, and Jesus, obviously one of the most well-documented figures in the history of the world, more so than Alexander the Great, I found out recently, which is kind of strange. But yeah, I think it's very testable, and what has been kept in the history records leads me to believe that that is something that should be believed. You had a little interjection where you said how you're raised is important, and I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. The way you are raised has big implications for your faith, how you accept it. That's true, but they're not mutually exclusive, I don't think. If you are raised a Christian, and I don't think you're necessarily going to stay a Christian, and if you're raised an atheist, I don't think you'll stay an atheist. For example, C.S. Lewis, he was raised a Christian, he became atheist, and then became Christian again. Francis Collins, who was an atheist, became a Christian. He was the head of the Human Genome Project. He wrote a very interesting book called The Language of God. And there are many other examples of people who have changed their faith, or whatever, since they were born. I'll post a link at the bottom. Wikipedia has a good article on that. The last question was, what would cause a change to my belief? It's an interesting question. I think, well, obviously the biggest and most obvious answer is that proof or disproof of God would probably have the biggest impact. Disproof more than proof. Hopefully I think the aim of most religious people is to be happy with the way they live and they believe God to be true, so proving it arguably shouldn't have too much of a difference, but obviously it would have some difference, and obviously disproof would have a huge difference. I think scientific evidence is very relevant and has a big impact on what you believe, especially in the realms of the multiverse. I saw some new evidence about that recently, but it's kind of not evidence and it's usually complicated. I mean, another thing I've learned is that evidence should be taken with a pinch of salt, and if there's something that appears to be that's shown to be against the existence of God or for the existence of God, then it's to be taken with a pinch of salt, because in 10 years who knows what kind of changes that could have, especially if you look back in history and how scientific understanding has changed in a short time. It's basically double back, which is absolutely fine, but it's worth bearing in mind that it can double back on itself. And like time travel and all these kind of things that have huge religious influences would affect my faith. But those are the only ones that sprung to mind. Thanks for your video, and I'll perhaps give you another video response soon.